Hi everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA. My name is Seamus Brady. I have one hell of a panel here with me, Aaron from GAAFANTV and Matthew Hurling, known as the GAA Statsman here, and we're going to give a preview for the All-Ireland Hurling Championship in 2022. Go province by province and then the All-Ireland Championship. So obviously, lads, Limerick are the big guns. Like, that's the one that we're all looking at and who can potentially put it up to them. But we'll come to them later. Start with the Leinster Championship first. Obviously, the round robin's back. Can't wait to see all the action in that. But you've got Dublin, Wexford, Galway and Kilkenny, obviously, as the big four in Leinster, with the likes of Laois and Westmeath then hoping to take a scalp. But what are we thinking about the Leinster Championship? Aaron, I'll come to you first. Kilkenny, obviously, the traditional big dogs there. You've got Galway there with Henry Shefflin. Wexford looked really good, then took a beating off Waterford. And then Dublin, it's hard to really know where Dublin are at. And then Laois and Westmeath is the ultimate underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, all right, especially with those four that you mentioned. I can't see Laois or Westmeath doing that. And I think Laois, they're one of them counties that seem to maybe come close to pulling off a shock here or there. But I do think, the other four should have enough to take Laois. So I can see Laois surviving in the Leinster Championship, but I can't really see them doing anything of any significance, really. And then it comes down to the other four, and it's very, very tough, all right. Like, before the league, I definitely would have fancied Dublin to get into the top three, but you're looking at Wexford's form and some of the results, obviously, that have come in there, and obviously beating the likes of Limerick and winning, I think, 5 out of 6 games, like up until the semi-final. So they've looked very, very good, very, very consistent. They seem to kind of have that like Wexford bite that's back, that probably was there in the early years of Davy and maybe faded in the last couple of seasons. So they're looking very, very strong. It's going to be tough, all right. Like, even Galway, I don't think are a guarantee like of getting out of Leinster. Like, I think, with Galway, like they do have some inconsistencies in their transition, and you've obviously had Cannon retire and players like Evan Nyland and Brian Concannon coming in. So it's going to be very, very tough. And for Dublin as well, it's one of them things with Dublin. As good as Dublin have looked, like their only kind of real scalp over the last couple of years has been Galway, and they've actually got Galway away as well in the Leinster, which might be tough. So and I think they're away to Wexford as well, home to Kilkenny. So Dublin's fixtures are probably going to be very tough. Probably would back Dublin, Kilkenny and Galway to get through. Kilkenny and Galway to be in the Leinster final. Wexford to be fourth. But, maybe that's me as a Dublin fan kind of being very hopeful there. But it's going to be very, very close. And I actually think this could be a bit like the round robin in 2019 where, going into the final day, like, all those 4 counties will be up for grabs, and it could literally go down to the final few seconds, a bit like in 2019.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I remember that very, very well. I remember that late goal that sent Dublin through. But then, of course, we went on to lose to Laois in the next round. And obviously, Matt, myself and yourself were talking about Galway on your podcast day yesterday. We were saying that, like, they've just completely flushed the team out from 2018 when they were, like, clearly the top team in the country before losing in that final to Limerick. They've completely changed the team. But obviously, we were saying there's such an unknown quantity. I think Kilkenny are the only team who we kind of know whereabouts they're at. I mean, Wexford and Dublin, it's so hard to know where they're at because obviously Wexford were so good. Rory O'Connor was hitting the lights out, and then they play Waterford and they looked so vulnerable. And it's hard to know if they're going to come back from that and be as strong as they were before. Dublin, you never really know. They show up one day and they don't the next. Galway as well, you mentioned there they've only scored 2 goals in the National League. Like, that's pretty worrying. So, like, whereabouts would you kind of put those 3 teams? Kilkenny are the only one who we know are kind of firing right now.
That's the thing, yeah. Like, Kilkenny do have very good players, but I'm still not sure about them. Like, last 2 semi-final appearances against Waterford and Cork, they flouted the seam a small bit. Galway have scored, I think, 4 goals in the National League, but they were all against Offaly, and Offaly got relegated. So, to be honest, that's not really an achievement when you think about it for Galway. We were mentioning on the podcast as well yesterday that Galway's only really very good performance was against Limerick, and that was like in match day 2. So, like, that was a long time ago. Like, the thing with Galway, I think you mentioned this in my podcast as well, Seamus, that the whole team has nearly changed. Like, you have the likes of Jack Hastings, Tom Monaghan, all them players, and the likes of Joe Canning have gone, Johnny Glynn has gone, a lot of them players have now gone, Jason Flynn, another. Like, all of them have nearly gone over that Galway. That's kind of worrying for their point of view. I think like Wexford's a weird one because they performed very well in the league. They won 5 games out of 5, and then they got obliterated by Waterford. Like Cork were playing for nothing really in the last game, so maybe they didn't try their utmost against Wexford that day. But Dublin probably performed well to an extent in the league, but that Kilkenny game maybe showed where Dublin are at and where they need to improve on. I think Leinster's going to be very tough this year. I actually think, you said Laois would stay up. I think Laois could actually go down this year. I think Westmeath could actually beat Laois this year. I think David Glennon's performing very well for Westmeath. They've tanked down to Division 2. Like Laois haven't really hit the lights out in Division 1 to an extent. So, I'd say Westmeath could stay up. And the top 3 is up for grabs, definitely. I think Kilkenny are the front rows, but I wouldn't be surprised if Galway go on to win it. They have good players, but the problem is consistency is the big thing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because obviously Galway, as I mentioned about Dublin, here one day, gone the next. And I feel like Kilkenny, for me, are the favourites to win the Leinster Championship, just with the history. They always seem to turn up. And then the form that the likes of Owen Cody is in, obviously TJ Reid is to come back into that team. So would you both be in agreement, Kilkenny as the favourites?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think Kilkenny seem to have this knack of winning games in Leinster without even being at their absolute best. Like, even in that final against Dublin last year in the Leinster final, I didn't really think they were at their best. Obviously, Dublin had a lot of injuries, and Owen O'Donnell goes off. He had the COVID situation there as well, a couple of players missing. But even at that, like, I thought Kilkenny were they didn't even get out of third gear, really. They were kind of just in cruise control, probably going at 60% throughout the majority of the game. And you could see them doing that in Leinster. They're a bit like that in the league as well, where they weren't looking great, but they'd still manage to find a way to beat, win by 3, 4, 5 points, 6 points. Like, they seem to be this kind of side that still has that sort of Kilkenny-ness that's been embedded into them under Brian Cody. It maybe isn't there in the big crucial games. And I think when they come up against top class opposition and big games, I think they do struggle. But in games probably where there isn't so much on the line, they do seem to have a knack of just hitting 6 to 7 to 8 points on the bounce and, in a couple of minutes, really. So probably would back Kilkenny, like as you said there, TJ Reid to come back in. Pádraig Walsh looks like a good addition. David Blanchfield as well. And Owen Cody has been phenomenal, obviously, in the last couple of seasons. A couple of good young lads coming through, like James Berg and James Marr. So I think Kilkenny definitely at this moment in time are probably a step above the rest. But as Matthew said there, like, I think Galway definitely have the potential. Maybe it might be a year or two early. And Wexford, obviously have a good, an all right record against Kilkenny in recent years. Dublin have struggled against Kilkenny really the last couple of seasons. So yeah, would have to back Kilkenny at this moment in time.
Yeah, and Matt, would you agree with that?
I probably would. Before I came on, I thought Galway would actually win it, but the more I talk about it, the more I hear from me, the more I'd say Kilkenny are going to win it. I think Kilkenny will probably win it, as Aaron rightly said there. I think it might be a bit too early for Galway, thinking about it. I think Galway will probably get second. Third place is going to be interesting between Wexford and Dublin. I personally think Wexford will do it. I just think Wexford have the talent to do it. Dublin might have got a bit lucky last year, considering Galway's form. Dublin are a good side, don't get me wrong, but I think Wexford have the forwards to fire. So I think Wexford will get third. I think Kilkenny will probably win the Leinster Championship this year once again.
Yeah, no, I agree with Matt. And then, so moving on then to Munster, and I'm going to put Munster and the All-Ireland in together, because really we are looking at a situation where Limerick are the kings. They are the current kings. And you've got Waterford, the form that they're in. You've got Cork, the form and the momentum behind them. So I think they are the three, for me anyway. They're the three that I'm looking at that probably are going to win the All-Ireland. Kilkenny, you could throw that in as the fourth team. Galway, we don't know where they're at. Like, they have the talent to win the All-Ireland, in my opinion. But going to you, Aaron, Munster Championship, my opinion, the All-Ireland winners are going to come from here. Would you agree with that? And then, if so, who do you think is going to do it?
Yeah, I'd agree as well. I think, the Munster teams are definitely quite a bit ahead of the Leinster teams. Like, you could probably, whoever finishes fourth or fifth in Munster could probably finish in the top three in Leinster realistically. So it's going to be tough. I think Limerick and Waterford, I think they're definitely the two front runners. I think for Limerick, like, they need to start the round robin fast, just to build up a bit of momentum, start getting wins on the board. They also have the first 4 games as well, which I think is a like they don't have a bye week in between their first 4 games, which probably has them at a disadvantage, because on the last day, like, the other teams are going to know what they need to do. So that might be a slight disadvantage to Limerick. But yeah, like, it's going to be interesting. I actually think Waterford will finish ahead of them in the round robin, and I think Limerick will drop points and lose a game in the round robin. But I still think Limerick just seem to have Waterford's number at the minute. Like, you're looking at a lot of the big Waterford players in those games against Limerick in Munster finals, All-Ireland semi-finals, even the All-Ireland final. The likes of Jamie Barron and Desi Hutchinson probably haven't had as big an impact against Limerick as they do against other teams. So, like, Paul Kinnerk and John Kiley, they just seem to find a way to take Waterford's best players out of games, and they just seem to find an extra 5 to 10% even when the going gets tough. So it's going to be very close. Like, with Waterford's goal threat, like 22 goals in 7 games. They've clearly been targeting goals this year, with Pádraig Mahoney coming back in. Obviously Mikey Kiley looks like a very good player as well. Like, you know, they're finding options. Like, they're finding players. They're finding new. Obviously, Cotterick Daly's at a brilliant league as well. So they're finding more options and more players, maybe more so than what Limerick did in the league. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Waterford might beat Limerick in the round robin, but I think Limerick will come back, beat them in the Munster final. And I think if they do beat them in the Munster final, that should be enough for them to go and win the All-Ireland.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything you said. And I think Cotterick Daly is the absolute key. I was saying this with you, Matt, on your podcast yesterday, because I was saying the midfield battle is where Limerick just completely overran Waterford in the semi-final last year. And Cotterick Daly has the physical capabilities to go toe-to-toe with a Will O'Donoghue, and that could be an absolute game changer. So obviously Aaron there has tipped Limerick to win Munster and then go on and win the All-Ireland. Would you agree with that yourself? And obviously he was saying as well, Waterford, that could be a game where Limerick lose in the round robin stage. But could you see Cork maybe turning them over as well?
It's a tough one with Cork. I think it's depends really if Kieran plays the right team. I just think Patrick Horgan, I mentioned on both my podcast with you last night, Seamus, and Aaron's podcast, that Patrick Horgan should be dropped from the team. I probably stick by that. Shane Kingston is probably our best hurler. He's starting on the bench. I think Darragh O'Leary needs to start well back, but I don't think all them teams will happen against Limerick. I actually think it could be a draw on Sunday, so it's not too bad for Cork. But at the same time, that's Cork's only home game in the hurling. Like, that's going to be a huge disadvantage for Cork. And I mentioned as well, I think it was one of your podcasts anyway, that Limerick and Waterford are probably going to play each other 3 times at once this year. They're going to play each other in the round robin, probably in Munster final and the All-Ireland final. I think one side is not going to win all 3 games. So it's going to be a bit of shadow boxing maybe for the first game out, the second game in Munster. The final then, I actually think Waterford will top the group. I actually think Limerick will win Munster and then go on to win the All-Ireland. I think Limerick are the kind of team to build in as the year goes on. Yeah, I think they're obviously the top 2 teams in Ireland, the top teams in Munster without question. Third place, though, I actually think Clare could make a good run at it. I actually think they have a very good team. I think injuries have been the main problem for Clare over the last few weeks or so, but they're going to get Mark Rogers back now for match day 3. I think they have one of the McCarthy brothers back. Tony Kelly's obviously back in the team, one of the best hurlers in Ireland at the moment. So I'd actually back Clare to finish third. That's if Cork played the wrong team once again for the game against Limerick or further on in the campaign. So yeah, I'd actually back Clare to get third. And I actually think Waterford will get first, but Limerick will win Munster and then the All-Irelands after that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think we're all in agreement on that Waterford will top it, but then Limerick will take the honours when it comes to the finals. And then I absolutely agree. Like, myself and Luke were saying, you never see a full strength Clare team. There's always someone missing. There's always someone injured. I mean, the year that they don't seem to have any injuries, and then the likes of Peter Duggan leave the panel. So Clare haven't been really at full strength since 2018, I'd say, when they got to the semi-final against Galway. They were awesome that year. So, like, they definitely have the talent if Brian Lohan can get the opportunity to put it all together. But yeah, Limerick are our pick to win Munster and then the All-Irelands. Just a quick word on the Joe McDonagh Cup. Obviously now some strong sides in that. You're looking at the likes of Offaly, you're looking at the likes of Antrim. But any dark horses there, Aaron? I'll come to you first.
Yeah, well, yeah, you definitely would probably back Antrim or Offaly. I mean, Down have obviously had a very good year in Division 2. Like, they obviously reached the final there, and Paul Sheehan and Daithí Sands have been two players that I've heard obviously have done well. Like, obviously I haven't really seen too much of them play because they don't show any Division 2 hurling games on Allianz League Sunday, unfortunately. So it's a hard one to know, really. I mean, Kerry have kind of been knocking on the door thereabouts, and anytime you seem to doubt Kerry, they seem to kind of come close. But I would probably look at Antrim and Offaly. I think if anyone's going to drop out at top two, it might be Offaly, and then maybe you might see Down or Kerry sneak in there. I think Carlow have been way too inconsistent in the last couple of years. So you'd look at Antrim, and I think you would back them. Like, they've been playing high quality opposition over the last couple of seasons. So I think they definitely should have enough, in my opinion, to get through to John McDonagh.
Yeah, I'm going with Antrim as well. Matt, would you agree with that?
I probably would, yeah. Like, Offaly are a decent side, but I don't think they're quite there just yet. I obviously hope Kerry go up. I'd love to see Kerry hurling flourish, but Kerry have this knack to get to the final and then they struggle at the final once it comes to it. I just think Antrim or Liam McCarthy's side, they should probably be in the Liam McCarthy this year, in all honesty. Like, Laois got a bit lucky last year. So, yeah, I think Antrim would probably win it. Like, Keane Malloy still doing well for them. Neil McManus, if you have a player like him, of course, you're going to win something. But watch out for Offaly in the next few years. I think they could be ones to watch, but obviously, as shown in the league campaign, they aren't quite there just yet.
Yeah, no, I think they're a few years off being a serious All-Ireland team, a serious team that can compete in the Liam McCarthy. I thought the promotion under Mick Fennelly, I thought it just came a bit too soon for them, and they were completely in over their head in Division 1 in the league, in my opinion. But yeah, so Limerick are our pick to win Munster and then the All-Ireland, and Kilkenny are our pick to win Leinster. But either way, once again, the Hurling Championship will probably be unpredictable as hell. So, lads, thanks a million for coming on today.
Thanks very much, Shay.
Yeah, cheers very much, Shay. Much appreciated.
All right, lads. So that is the episode of the preview of the Hurling Championship for 2022 here on Play on GAA. Hope you enjoyed. Until next one, guys, take care.